The writer's journey is long and arduous. Many of us aspiring writers also have a regular job. Oftentimes you come home after a full day of work and you try to write, but you just can't. And then this happens. Don't be so hard on yourself. Watch a TV series or a movie, I guess. Average typing speed is 45 words per minute. This 45-minute episode could have been half a chapter in your novel, were you not a lazy bum that you are. Look at you, sitting here watching TV and calling yourself an aspiring writer. Writers write, aspirers aspire. You do neither. You're just a watcher, a consumer, a shapeless, amorphous mass. If this is you, this video is what you need. I will help you to strike a compromise with this writerholic demon and help you make him shut up for a bit. Here are 5 tips on how you can watch a TV series or a movie while still improving as a writer. Tip number 1. As you watch, try to identify scene-level attention management tools that you can use in your own writing. For example, recently I was watching the Expanse sci-fi TV series and I was really impressed by the following trick. In this scene, a detective is exploring an empty apartment. At first we see that there is something like a toy hamster. It's confusing but not extremely interesting. Then we see that the toy hamster's eyes lit red and the detective doesn't seem to notice. Naturally, our brains begin racing. Is it a camera? A bomb detonation device, a murder robot? We lean forward in our seats, readying ourselves for a jump scare or an action scene. Because of these thoughts, we're really engaged in an otherwise boring scene. In the end, though, the hamster turns out to be a simple toy. It's a primitive, somewhat blunt, but very effective trick. A good show would have a lot of them, and you could directly use them in your own writing. Tip number 2. Learn how to be efficient in your storytelling. A good scene typically needs to do many things at once. Add to the world building, push forward the character development or reveal, and propel the plot. So let's see how it's done in The Expanse. In the very same scene from The Expanse, the detective notices that the apartment he investigates accumulated a lot of unused water. Earlier in the episode, he'd ran out of water and had to get out of shower all soapy. So he goes ahead and just uses the water from this apartment that he investigates to, well, wash himself. All of it takes just a few seconds to show, but it is extremely efficient. It advances the world building. We see how precious and scarce the water is on the space station. It shows how police has lots of power and is free to bend rules and regulations. Lastly, it builds character. It shows that this detective has no misgivings over bending the rules a little bit for his own individual benefit. Tip number 3. Learn from others' mistakes. This one comes to most people naturally, but still, when you feel disconnected from the show, when you feel bored or in any other way annoyed by what you're watching, try to identify the cause. First, try to catch the exact moment when that happened. And second, try to put the cause into words so that you can later not make the same mistakes in your own writing. Continuing with The Expanse, even though I love the writing in the show, it is by no means perfect. So in the very same scene, the detective checks the last few messages on the missing girl's laptop, and they just so happen to be a showdown conversation between the girl and her father. The messages basically reiterate the main points we know about them already. The father is super rich, the girl is rebellious and is basically explaining her defiant stance to her father. I felt really disconnected during that scene because it felt a little too convenient. I would have preferred the detective first to have to go through a couple of embarrassing, irrelevant text messages and then stumble upon something that is not as on the nose. So maybe the girl could have complained to her friends about how much her father sucks. Then she could have sent a snippet of his message, adding a comment along the lines of, "Look at this hypocritic windbag, I f***ing hate him." You know, something along those lines. The 4th tip is a negative one. It is about what not to do when watching as a writer. Don't talk about it during the viewing, or people will hate you. Keep your observations to yourself. Unless you're in a group of people who are also enjoying writing or want to decompose the show for whatever reason, most likely they just want to watch the show, they just want to enjoy it, and they're not interested in your awesome discoveries. It's a devastating but true fact that I'm struggling with myself. On the bright side, we have a comment section here, so it is the time to open that bottle of pent-up awesome writerly tricks that nobody wanted to hear about. So feel free to pause the video and share some awesome or awful examples of writing and storytelling that you've recently seen in movies or TV shows. The last tip goes against almost all I've said before. As we've seen, indeed, you can learn a lot about writing by watching TV shows, by analyzing the scenes, but just remember that sometimes it actually doesn't matter. Sometimes it's okay to tell the writerholic demon to just get lost. It is okay to relax and not work for a little bit. Push yourself, strive higher, but don't forget that your body has its own limits, and take care of yourself. Sometimes, as strange as it sounds, rest is the most productive thing you can do. Being honest with yourself and learning to distinguish laziness from the genuine need to rest is one of the trickiest things in the world, and I myself am very far from having mastered it. But we'll get there one day. I believe in it.